we all have an experience of either watching each other play and knowing each other when we first met to now. And like that evolution is just so dope to watch because you truly understand what it takes to be great at this level. So that respect is always there.
Stephen Curry is one of the greatest shooters basketball has ever seen. His name is legendary. His three-pointers?
Steph on the curl, nice screen, better shot. So good.
Unbelievable, but despite all his success, there's always been one big question. Is Steph Curry really as tough as other NBA greats? That question came up again recently when LeBron James suffered a brutal eye injury but kept playing. No complaints, no hesitation, just pure toughness. Meanwhile, Stephen Curry got injured in a different game and didn't push through. That's when the critics came for him. Shaquille O'Neal, Shannon Sharpe, and Stephen A. Smith did not hold back. They completely destroyed Stephen Curry over LeBron's eye injury. What did they say? Well, keep watching, because you're about to find out. The injury that started the debate. The NBA is no stranger to tough moments. Players take hard hits, roll their ankles, and sometimes even break bones.
One of the key components to the Lakers winning a title. LeBron, down he goes, and he grabs his ankle. LeBron with his right ankle, and he's hurt.
But in this case, it was all about one injury, LeBron James's eye injury. LeBron went up for a shot, and bam! He took a hard hit to the face. The contact was so bad that his eye immediately turned red. Fans watching at home could see it. It looked painful, but guess what? LeBron shook it off and kept playing. No excuses, no complaints, just business as usual. Now, on the other side of the league, Stephen Curry had his own injury situation. During a game, he took a fall, landing hard on the floor. The impact was rough, and reports later called it a pelvic contusion.
Warriors guard Stephen Curry underwent an MRI on his left knee on Saturday, the results of which revealed a grade 2 MCL sprain. He suffered the injury during the third quarter of Friday's win over Atlanta and will be reevaluated in 3 weeks.
That's a painful injury, no doubt. But instead of pushing through, Curry sat out the rest of the game, and that's where the problem started. NBA legends, analysts, and fans couldn't help but compare the two situations. LeBron took a brutal hit to the face and kept going. Curry took a hit and sat out. Was Steph Curry being soft? Shaquille O'Neal, Shannon Sharpe, and Stephen A. Smith had a lot to say about that. Shaquille O'Neal has never been one to hold back. He believes that greatness isn't just about skill. It's about mental and physical toughness. And in his eyes, Curry's decision to sit out was a bad look. Shaq comes from an era where players fought through pain. He played through injuries, took hard hits, and never wanted to be seen as weak. Seeing LeBron take that eye injury and stay on the court, that's what he expects from a superstar, so when he looked at Curry, who sat out with a pelvic contusion, he wasn't impressed. He felt that if LeBron could push through, why couldn't Curry? Was it pain tolerance? Was it a mindset? Either way, Shaq believed this moment hurt Curry's reputation, and he wasn't the only one who thought that. Shannon Sharpe is known for his strong opinions, and this time was no different. He made it clear that superstars are expected to rise above pain. Injuries happen to everyone, but the true greats find a way to keep going. For him, the comparison was simple. LeBron James took a direct hit to the eye, lost vision for a moment, and still finished the game. Stephen Curry took a hard fall, but instead of playing through, he sat out. To him, that was a problem. He believed it added fuel to the ongoing debate about Curry's physicality. Was he really built for the same level of punishment as other NBA legends? Or was he just a great shooter who couldn't handle the rough parts of the game? These were tough questions, and the criticism didn't stop there. Stephen A. Smith is loud, passionate, and always has something to say, and when it came to Curry, he did not hold back. He didn't just focus on this one game. He looked at the bigger picture. Curry has had injury problems in the past, and Smith believed this moment added to a pattern. It was another example of him not being able to handle the same level of physicality as some of the league's toughest stars. He pointed out how players like LeBron, Kobe, and even Michael Jordan played through serious injuries. They put everything on the line, even when they were hurt. Could Curry do the same? In Smith's eyes, this was a defining moment. He felt that the greats of the game wouldn't have sat out, and if Curry wanted to be in that conversation, he had to show more grit. With Shaq, Shannon Sharpe, and Stephen A. Smith all taking shots at Curry, the debate spread like wildfire. Fans, analysts, and even former players joined the conversation. Some agreed that Curry should have pushed through. Others defended him, arguing that playing injured doesn't always mean toughness. It can also mean recklessness. But in the eyes of his critics, this wasn't just about one game. This was about legacy. The debate gets heated. Curry has always been respected for his shooting and skill.
Chris Middleton's been at the scorer's table for a long time. Curry again from way downtown!
But when it comes to toughness, there's always been doubt. Some still remember how he struggled with ankle injuries early in his career.
Curry has had a number of ankle issues. In fact, last week in a game in Atlanta, he tweaked his right ankle.
Others bring up how he's rarely had to carry a team physically the way LeBron has. So now, with this situation, those old doubts resurfaced. Would this moment stain his legacy? Of course, Curry's supporters weren't staying silent. They came with their own arguments. Curry doesn't have to prove his toughness. His championships speak for themselves. Playing through injuries can hurt a team more than help. What if he forced himself to play and made the injury worse? If this were any other player, would people even be making a big deal out of it? For them, the criticism wasn't fair. They saw it as yet another attempt to downplay Curry's greatness. They pointed to his past performances, his dominance in the 2022 finals, his ability to take over games, his record-breaking shooting. Fans of Curry reminded everyone of the 2016 playoffs when he came back from a knee sprain to lead the Warriors to a historic comeback. But to his critics, that was exactly the issue. If he was truly one of the greatest, this moment should have gone differently. Through all the noise, LeBron didn't have to say much. His actions spoke for themselves. He took a hit, suffered an injury, and kept going. That's the kind of thing that builds a legend. It's not just about talent. It's about moments like these, and whether fair or not, the comparison was set. LeBron pushed through and finished strong. Curry sat out, and people noticed. In the end, this wasn't just about one game. It was about perception, reputation, and the never-ending debate over who truly belongs among the greatest. The debate didn't stop on the air. It exploded across social media, sports talk shows, and even locker room discussions. Fans were divided. Some believed the criticism was unfair, while others felt it was completely justified, but one question kept coming up. Was Steph Curry being held to a different standard? Some pointed out that plenty of NBA legends have missed games due to injuries, but they weren't criticized the same way. Why was Curry's absence such a big deal? Was it because of his size, style of play, or simply because of the ongoing rivalry between him and LeBron James? For Shaq, Shannon, and Stephen A., this wasn't just about missing a game. This was about leadership. A true leader doesn't just show up when things are easy. They fight through the hard moments, push past the pain, and make sure their team knows they can be counted on. In their eyes, this was a moment where Curry didn't measure up. The criticism hit harder because of who it was coming from. Shaq is one of the most dominant big men in NBA history. Shannon Sharpe knows all about toughness from his legendary NFL career, and Stephen A. Smith is one of the loudest voices in sports media. When they speak, people listen, and what they are saying is clear. Curry is a great player, but when it comes to durability, he's no LeBron. Curry's shooting ability is legendary, but he might not have the same physical presence as other all-time greats, and moments like this separate the true icons from the rest. A rivalry that never ends. For Curry, this wasn't just about one injury. It was about his place in NBA history, and for his critics, This moment was another piece of evidence that he doesn't belong in the same conversation as LeBron. In the end, this was just another chapter in the long-running debate between LeBron and Curry. Their careers have been intertwined for over a decade, and every moment, big or small, gets compared. LeBron is the physical powerhouse, the Iron Man who rarely breaks. Curry is the revolutionary shooter, the game changer who dominates from beyond the arc. But when it comes to toughness, leadership, and pushing through pain, LeBron just added another point to his side of the argument. And as Shaq, Shannon, and Stephen A. made clear, some moments define your legacy. For them, this was a moment where LeBron proved something, and Curry didn't. As the dust settled, the conversation didn't just fade away, it only got louder. Curry's resume speaks for itself. Multiple championships, MVPs, and the title of the greatest shooter in NBA history. But moments like this affect how players are remembered. The reality is, fair or not, narratives shape legacies. And in the eyes of some, this was another moment where LeBron showed his toughness, while Curry's was put into question. At the end of the day, this debate wasn't just about one game, one injury, or even one player. It was about what fans expect from our superstars. They expect them to push through anything, even if it means risking long-term health. Supporters went on to say it is unfair to judge Curry this harshly when the league has changed and players are more cautious about injuries, but this is just the price of being one of the biggest names in basketball. One thing is for sure, this won't be the last time Curry and LeBron's careers are compared, and whether fair or not, this moment will always be part of the story. Even as time passes, this debate will linger. Basketball fans have long memories. Moments like this don't just disappear. They become part of a player's story, replayed in arguments, on talk shows, and across social media. For Curry, this is another chapter in an already legendary career, but how people choose to remember it is out of his control. Some will see it as an unfair attack on a player who has revolutionized the game, while others will use it as proof that he never quite reached the same level of toughness as LeBron. Shaq, Shannon Sharpe, and Stephen A. made their stance clear. The greatest players rise above pain, with no excuses. They expect more from Curry because of who he is. But is that right? Basketball has changed, sure. Load management, sports science, and player longevity are prioritized more than ever. But does it make sense to play through injuries if it means hurting your team in the long run? That's a question every superstar has to answer for themselves. The best way to respond to critics has always been on the court. If Curry wants to shift this narrative, there's only one thing to do: keep winning. If he leads the Warriors to another deep playoff run, all of this will fade. Another ring, another MVP moment, another reminder of why he's one of the greatest. But if the Warriors struggle and Curry doesn't deliver in the biggest moments, this conversation will resurface. Because in sports, what you've done matters, but what you do next matters even more. And with Curry, LeBron, and the NBA's biggest personalities still in the game, one thing is guaranteed: the debate isn't over. Not even close. Is it fair to judge Curry this harshly when the league has changed and players are more cautious about injuries?
Instead of helping, we're taking photographs of her dying on the back seat. And then those photographs made their way back to news desks in this country.
Princess Diana, the people's princess, stepped into the royal spotlight with her marriage to Prince Charles.
Ostensibly no, but given the fact that the Princess of Wales believes that Prince Charles's friendship with another woman, Camilla Parker Bowles, has cast a long shadow over that marriage, must be considered when you look at the failure of this 11-year union.
Despite her doubts about the hasty proposal, she saw it as a way to escape her troubled family. But the royal life was anything but a fairy tale. Her marriage to Charles brought to light many secrets, and she faced unkind treatment from the royal family. Distraught by infidelity and cruelty, Diana sought revenge, only to tragically die in a car crash in 1997. Now, decades later, her son is revealing secrets about Charles. Why is he breaking his silence? Princess Diana's marriage to the royal family and the controversies that trailed her life after brought her to the limelight. but she had quite an eventful life even before then. Let's delve into when and how it all started. Diana was born on the 1st of July, 1961, to Edward John Spencer, the Viscount Althorp, and Frances Ruth Burke Roche, who later became known as the Honorable Frances Shand Kidd. She was born as Diana Frances Spencer, and later became Lady Diana Spencer in 1975.
Above all, we give thanks for the life of a woman I'm so proud to be able to call my sister. The unique, the complex, the extraordinary and irreplaceable Diana, whose beauty, both internal and external, will never be extinguished from our minds.
After her father inherited the Earl Spencer title, her connection to the royal family is evident in her place of birth. Princess Diana was born at Park House, a home that her parents rented on Queen Elizabeth II's estate in Sandringham, England.
The former home of Elizabeth Head Gardner on her Sandringham estate can be rented for about $400 a night next February for a minimum of 3 nights.
The royal family frequently holidayed at the neighboring Sandringham house.
London. Queen Mary left Marlborough House for Sandringham, where the royal Christmas was to be spent as a family party.
And Diana played with Princes Andrew and Edward. With such a noble background, how did Diana's early life lead to her eventual fate and controversial life? Get ready for the most epic moment of the video. Diana was the youngest daughter of her parents, and she had 2 older sisters, Jane Fellows and Sarah McCorquodale, and a younger brother, Charles Spencer, 9th Earl Spencer. She had another brother, John, but he died in infancy a year before Diana was born.
From her mother's devastating loss of a baby boy,
she was never allowed to hold her first son.
Both of her grandmothers, Cynthia Spencer and Ruth Roche, were ladies-in-waiting to Queen Mother Elizabeth. After losing John, her parents were hoping for another boy to carry on the family line, and so they didn't choose a name for a week after her birth until they settled on Diana Frances after her mother and Lady Diana Spencer, a great-aunt who was also a prospective Princess of Wales as a potential bride for Frederick, Prince of Wales. Diana was also nicknamed Dooch within the family because of her duchess-like attitude in childhood. On August 30th, 1961, Diana was baptized at St. Mary Magdalene Church, Sandringham. Despite her birth as the 3rd child and 4th born of the family, her parents still wanted a male to be their heir, and this really put a strain on their marriage, especially after Lady Althorp was sent to Harley Street clinics in London to determine the cause of her inability to produce a male heir. Her younger brother Charles would later describe this sole event as humiliating and a dreadful time for his parents. It was in fact probable that this was the root cause of their divorce.
Paul Workman now on the world's most famous couple, heading for the world's most famous divorce.
Diana was 7 years old when her parents divorced, and her mother went on to marry Peter Shand Kidd in 1969. Diana still lived with her mother in London immediately after her parents' separation in 1967. But after going on holiday to her father's home during the Christmas holiday that same year, her father, Lord Althorp, refused to let his daughter return to London. Shortly after, he won custody of Diana with the support of his former mother-in-law, Lady Fermoy. In 1976, Diana's father married Rain, Countess of Dartmouth. Their step-family relationship wasn't typical. Diana didn't get along with her stepmother and often called her a bully, even pushing her downstairs once. She described her childhood as very unhappy and unstable. After her father inherited the Earl Spencer title in 1975, she became Lady Diana. The family moved from Park House to Althorp, their estate in Northamptonshire. For schooling, Diana was initially homeschooled by her governess, Gertrude Allen. Later, she attended Sillifurled Private School in King's Lynn, Norfolk, beginning her formal education there. This upbringing shaped Diana's early years, marked by family tensions and transitions. Her strained relationship with her stepmother and the move to Althorp were significant events that influenced her upbringing and perspective on life. When she was 9, she moved to Riddlesworth Hall School, an all-girls boarding school near Thetford. Later on, in 1973, she joined her sisters at West Heath Girls' School in Sevenoaks, Kent. But her academics largely suffered because of her bad performance in school, which some say is probably a result of her strained childhood and her parents' divorce and remarriage, which she largely witnessed. She even failed her O-levels twice. In spite of this, Diana stood out in terms of community service, and this outstanding spirit was recognized with an award from her school, West Heath. What she lacked in academics, she made up for in community engagement. She left West Heath when she was 16, and up until that point, her brother Charles says she was a very shy young lady. She also had great skills, including her excellent musical ability as a skilled pianist.
It's a well-known story told in an unexpected way, set to music on a Broadway stage.
I choose a fresh new start.
Diana the musical is framed around the Princess of Wales' relationship with Prince Charles.
She was an excellent swimmer and diver, and she also studied ballet and tap dance. It was only academics that was not her forte. Between 1979 and 1981, Diana lived at Coleherne Court in Chelsea, London. In 1978, she started a mini-career in line with her passion for children, working as a nanny for Philippa and Jeremy Whittaker in Hampshire. She attended a finishing school in Rougemont, Switzerland for one term, but left after Easter 1978. Back in London, she shared her mother's flat with two friends from school. In London, Diana took an advanced cooking course and worked various low-paying jobs. She was a dance instructor for youth until a skiing accident caused her to miss 3 months of work. Then, she worked as a playgroup preschool assistant, did cleaning for her sister Sarah, and acted as a hostess at parties. She also babysat for the Robertsons, an American family in London, and worked as a nursery teacher's assistant at the Young England School in Pimlico. In July 1979, her mother bought her a flat at Coleherne Court as an 18th birthday present. She lived there with 3 flatmates until February 25, 1981. It's amazing how she got involved with Prince Charles after such an eventful life. Royal marriage, sons' births, and lingering controversies. Diana and Prince Charles met in 1977 in unusual circumstances.
The love story between Prince Charles and Lady Diana is particularly steeped in royal history, around which many rumors have surfaced up to this day.
As Charles was dating her sister Sarah, none of them could have imagined their future together. Charles thought she was jolly, and after his relationship with Sarah ended in 1978, they stayed friends. Diana attended Charles's 30th birthday party in Buckingham Palace in November 1978, and in January 1979, she met Charles again at a weekend shooting party at Sandringham as a guest of Queen Elizabeth II. Later in the summer of 1980, Diana and Prince Charles met again at a house party hosted by her friend Philip de Pass in New Grove. After observing her shy nature and wise way of speaking, Charles considered her a potential girlfriend, despite their 13-year age gap. While sitting on a bale of hay at a post-polo barbecue, Diana sympathized with Charles over the loss of his great-uncle, Lord Mountbatten. Her comforting words struck a nerve, and he decided to pursue a relationship with her.
It's always easy to be smart in hindsight, but when you look at this couple's soap opera of body language throughout their marriage and before their marriage.
Did her words make him fall in love? Don't miss the next scene where things get even more interesting. After this, Prince was keen to spend more time with Diana, and he invited her to Balmoral to join him and a group of friends there for a summer holiday. This delighted Diana in no small measure, as she was beginning to adore Charles. After meeting about 13 times, Prince Charles proposed to Diana. He was said to be largely influenced by his father, Prince Philip, who TD Bim in a memo to stop playing the field and get married. His father had said, "You either marry this girl or let her go." Being confused as ever, he took this to mean that his father wanted her to marry Diana, and he proposed to her on February 3, 1981, after a few months of dating at Windsor Castle. Diana was so surprised that she first thought it a joke, but it was real. Prince Charles was damn serious. The formal engagement press call was on February 24, 1981, when after Beijing asked by reporters if they are in love, Diana had replied with certainty while Charles had said, "Whatever in love means." In March 1981, Charles flew to Australia and New Zealand for 5 weeks, leaving his newly betrothed behind. She's spotted crying at Heathrow Airport upon his departure, not because she is sad, but because before he left, he had taken a phone call with Camilla Parker Bowles, his ex. Notwithstanding all these, they got married on July 39, 1981 at St. Paul's Cathedral, with 2,650 guests. and a television audience of around 750 million people watching. Charles was wary of going through with the marriage, but he didn't want to let the royal family down. It would look as though Prince Charles was more eager to find a qualified bride than to actually find a love match. Although he was struck by some of her qualities, it wasn't necessarily love, considering that he was still very much in sync with his ex-girlfriend Camilla, a major problem that would later cause much problems in the marriage. Some believe that Prince Charles married Diana because he needed someone who would fit into the royals' family requirement of a prince, and also to produce his own heirs to the royal throne. Princess Diana's problems began right on her wedding day, because the royal family is a subject of intense media attention. It comes with the status, and anyone who is getting into the royal family must be ready to face the odds. Media attention had always been on Prince Charles ever since he started dating. Every of his love interests have been a subject of scrutiny by the press on whether or not they were fit for the royal throne. Diana was not an exception. When on their wedding day, she broke tradition by omitting the word obey from her vows, and it generated a lot of attention and criticism from the media all at once, launching her firsthand into one of the many trials of the royal family. After the couple's fairy tale wedding, Diana felt overwhelmed by her royal duties and the intense media coverage of nearly every aspect of her life. The many duties and the lack of affection from the prince meant that they spent little time together, and the princess was not having it easy. Due to this, in January 1982, 12 weeks into her pregnancy with William, Diana deliberately threw herself down the stairs at the Sandringham House royal residence in Norfolk because she had eating disorder, bulimia, and was feeling so despondent and inadequate in her marriage to Charles. But the baby was unharmed. There was a ray of hope after the birth of their first son, William, on June 21, 1982, at St. Mary's Hospital in London, and Prince Charles, having attended the broth, described the experience as astonishing. The birth of their first son deepened the relationship between Diana and the prince a little. Diana experienced postpartum depression after her pregnancy with William and found the intense media attention surrounding her pregnancy difficult to bear. In 1983, when William was just 9 months old, Diana couldn't bear to leave him behind for a 6-week tour of Australia and New Zealand. She broke royal tradition by taking him along, sparking a mixed reaction from the press, from harsh criticism to applause from parts of the public. Then, on September 15, 1984, Princess Diana gave birth to Prince Harry, with Charles by her side. Interestingly, 6 weeks before Harry's birth, Charles had thought Diana was expecting a girl. When Harry, a boy, arrived instead, Diana kept it a surprise from Charles, perhaps enjoying the closeness it brought them. But Charles's disappointment over Harry's gender and his hair color strained their marriage further. Diana felt resentful, beginning a journey of secrecy and revenge. This bitterness lingered, and years later Prince William began leaking royal secrets, drawing widespread media attention. It begs the question, why did Charles break the royal rule of secrecy, and why did both sons turn away from their father? Stay tuned. The most exciting part is just around the corner. Prince William's unveiled King Charles's secrets. In the recent royal biography Endgame, written by the royal analyst Omid Scobie, secrets and explosive claims revealed in the book about King Charles, marriage to Diana, and even under his rule were attributed to have been leaked by Prince William's. Interestingly, some claim that it is due to his overambition to become king one day that he broke the sacred code of the royal family, keeping the mouth sealed and keeping secrets. The secrets released by him corroborated the many suspicions of there being a foul play surrounding the death of Princess Diana, while also adding fresh perspectives to the long-forgotten life of Princess Diana. The news was that he leaked private information about both Harry, his brother, and King Charles. Princess Diana's death had been subject to one conspiracy theory or the other, and the most apparent one was that the driver was intoxicated. But more than this, the princess's suspicion of the royal family always plotting against her during her lifetime did not help matters. During her frustrating times with the prince, she believed at some point that Charles wanted her out of the way in order to marry his true love, Camilla. So, Many implied that her death might not be a natural accident after all. One major open secret of Prince Charles was his affair with Camilla Parker Bowles, both before and after the marriage with Princess Diana. On finding out, Camilla was a bone in Camilla's throat, coupled with the loneliness, extreme media attention, and the mental health issues that Diana faced after the marriage. On the Monday before her wedding, she had discovered a beautiful bracelet her future husband intended to give to Camilla. Diana considered calling off the wedding after discovering the bracelet, which confirmed her worst suspicions about Charles's relationship with Camilla. But after lunch with her older sisters, she was persuaded otherwise, telling her that it was too late to chicken out. Tremendously unhappy in their marriage by 1986, both Charles and Diana had extramarital affairs. In the late 1980s and early 1990s, Charles maintained constant communication with Camilla, who was also unhappily married to a promiscuous husband. Their affair reignited despite her troubled marriage, a fact Prince Charles admitted to his biographer Jonathan Dimbleby in 1994.
She was the villain. She was the third person in the marriage.
The villain Prince Harry is referring to is Camilla, King Charles's wife and now Queen Consort.
Meanwhile, rumors swirled that Diana had an affair with Army Captain James Hewitt, possibly in response to her own marital unhappiness. Between 1987 and 1992, their troubled marriage garnered intense media scrutiny. Diana's absence from Charles's family summer trip in 1987 sparked headlines about a royal rift. Public appearances often revealed their distant and unhappy demeanor, further fueling speculation about their relationship. The media closely followed their every move, analyzing their interactions and adding to the public's fascination with their marital struggles. Let us know in the comments section. We hope you enjoyed watching this video. Remember to like, share it, and subscribe for more. Also, click the next video showing on your screen. You will enjoy it.